Imagine discovering that one of the richest men on earth didn't become powerful simply by inventing incredible products, but by mastering something far more valuable: attention. Every headline, every controversy, every impossible promise seemed to pull the entire world into his story. Millions believed they were watching a genius changing humanity forever. Others believed they were watching the greatest salesman in modern history. But what if both sides were only seeing part of the picture? Because behind the rockets, electric cars, and billion-dollar tweets lies a reality that almost nobody talks about. And once you see it, you may never look at Elon Musk the same way again. Long before the world's cameras followed his every move, Elon Musk was just another ambitious young man with dreams that sounded almost ridiculous. Born in South Africa, fascinated by computers and science fiction, he imagined futures that most people dismissed as fantasy. While other children played outside, he spent countless hours reading books and teaching himself programming. At just 12 years old, he sold a simple video game. It wasn't a fortune, but it proved something important. Ideas could become money. More importantly, belief could become reality. But even then, nobody could have guessed how far that belief would eventually go. When Musk moved to North America, he wasn't arriving as a billionaire. He was chasing opportunity. Like countless entrepreneurs before him, he faced uncertainty, rejection, and financial pressure. His first companies were built during the explosive rise of the internet. Timing mattered, luck mattered, talent mattered too. One successful sale led to another. Then came PayPal, a company that transformed online payments and eventually sold for billions of dollars. Overnight, Musk had enough money to retire comfortably. Most people would have disappeared to a beach somewhere. Instead, he chose something much riskier. And that single decision changed everything. Rather than protecting his wealth, Musk poured almost everything into businesses that many experts believed would fail. Electric cars were considered unrealistic. Private rockets were seen as impossible for startups. Solar energy was expensive and unpopular. Friends warned him. Investors hesitated. Critics laughed openly. Yet Musk continued writing checks, risking nearly every dollar he had earned. It looked like courage. It looked like madness. Sometimes those two things are almost impossible to separate. But the real problem was just beginning. The world loves stories about heroes who refuse to quit. Musk understood that better than almost anyone. Every failed rocket launch became proof that success was getting closer. Every manufacturing disaster became evidence that greatness required suffering. Every near bankruptcy turned into another chapter of an inspiring comeback story. People weren't just buying cars anymore, they were buying hope. They were buying a vision of the future. And slowly, Elon Musk stopped being just a businessman. He became a symbol. What happened next shocked everyone. Tesla wasn't simply selling electric vehicles, it was selling belief. Customers waited months or even years for products that hadn't been fully delivered. Investors poured billions into a company that was losing money for years. Traditional automakers laughed at first, then quietly started copying Tesla's strategy. The impossible slowly became normal. The company survived crisis after crisis until its stock price exploded beyond anything most analysts thought was realistic. Suddenly, Elon Musk wasn't just rich. On paper, he became the richest person in the world. But behind that unbelievable success, another story was quietly unfolding. Money creates influence. Influence creates attention, and attention creates even more money. Musk learned how to use this cycle better than almost anyone alive. One tweet could move financial markets. A joke could send cryptocurrencies soaring. A single interview could dominate global headlines for days. Companies spend billions on advertising every year, yet Musk often generated more publicity with one social media post than entire marketing departments could create in months. Some called it genius, others called it manipulation. The line between those two opinions became harder to see. Then there were the promises. Self driving cars were always just around the corner. Robotaxis were coming soon. Humans would live on Mars. Artificial intelligence would transform civilization. Robots would replace dangerous jobs. Brain implants would cure diseases. Each announcement sounded bigger than the last. Some eventually became reality, others remained years behind schedule. Critics argued that Musk constantly overpromised. Supporters claimed impossible goals were necessary to inspire impossible achievements. But nobody could deny one fact: the world kept listening. And that constant attention became one of his greatest business assets. Investors weren't only valuing Tesla as a car company anymore, they were valuing Elon Musk himself. His personality became part of the product. His confidence became part of the stock price. Every speech, every interview, every tweet influenced how people viewed his companies. In many ways, Musk wasn't simply building businesses. He was building one of the most powerful personal brands in history. But depending on one person's reputation creates enormous risk, and nobody could have predicted what came next. Inside Tesla, former employees described relentless pressure. Deadlines seemed impossible. Expectations kept rising. Stories emerged of workers sleeping at factories during production crises. Musk himself admitted to sleeping on factory floors. He believed extraordinary results demanded extraordinary sacrifice. Admirers saw commitment, critics saw burnout. The companies moved faster than competitors, but that speed came at a cost. As success grew larger, so did the pressure. And eventually, cracks began to appear beneath the polished image. Then came social media. Musk wasn't behaving like traditional CEOs. Most executives carefully approved every public statement. Musk often tweeted instantly, joking, arguing, provoking, and sometimes creating international headlines within minutes. One famous tweet about taking Tesla private triggered investigations, lawsuits, and massive controversy. Billions of dollars in market value shifted almost overnight. Investors realized something uncomfortable. One person's emotions could influence enormous financial consequences. But that wasn't the end of the story. During the pandemic, Musk openly challenged lockdown policies and government restrictions. Some praised him for defending economic freedom. Others accused him of ignoring public health concerns. His public image became increasingly political and polarizing. Suddenly, the entrepreneur who once united technology enthusiasts around innovation was dividing audiences around ideology. Supporters became more loyal, critics became louder. Yet somehow, attention only increased. Whether people loved him or hated him, they couldn't stop talking about him. Then came one of the boldest moves of his career. Musk decided to buy Twitter. At first, many people thought it was another joke. Then the negotiations became serious. Eventually, he purchased the platform for around $44 billion. The deal shocked Wall Street. Critics questioned the price, advertisers became nervous, employees faced uncertainty. Within months, massive layoffs transformed the company. Twitter became X. Musk promised to reinvent social media completely, but reality proved much more complicated. Advertisers left, revenue declined, public criticism intensified, legal battles emerged. The platform experienced technical problems, policy changes, and ongoing controversy. Some users celebrated greater freedom of expression, others believed moderation had collapsed. Financial experts questioned whether the acquisition made economic sense, yet Musk insisted he was thinking long term. Once again, supporters trusted his vision while critics predicted disaster. The pattern repeated itself. But the real question wasn't whether every decision succeeded, it was something much deeper. Why did millions continue believing in Musk despite repeated delays, failed predictions, and constant controversy? The answer reveals something fascinating about human psychology. People don't simply invest in numbers, they invest in stories. Musk tells stories better than almost anyone in business. Colonizing Mars isn't just an engineering project, it's humanity's survival plan. Electric cars aren't simply transportation, they're a mission to save the planet. Artificial intelligence isn't just software, it's civilization's greatest challenge. These stories inspire people to forgive failures because the vision feels larger than reality itself. This doesn't automatically mean the vision is fake. SpaceX truly revolutionized space launches. Tesla undeniably accelerated the electric vehicle industry. Many of Musk's companies achieved breakthroughs that experts once considered impossible. But success doesn't erase exaggeration. Extraordinary accomplishments can exist alongside ambitious marketing. That combination is exactly what makes Musk so difficult to judge. He is neither the flawless genius his biggest fans imagine, nor the complete fraud described by his harshest critics. The truth lives somewhere in between, and that uncomfortable middle ground rarely attracts headlines. Financial markets often reward expectations before rewarding results. Musk understood this earlier than many entrepreneurs. Investors weren't simply paying for today's profits, they were paying for tomorrow's possibilities. As long as belief remained strong, enormous valuations became easier to justify. But belief is fragile, it depends on confidence. And confidence can change remarkably fast when expectations become impossible to satisfy. Over the years, Tesla's stock experienced breathtaking rises and painful crashes. Billions appeared and disappeared within weeks. Musk's own net worth fluctuated by astonishing amounts. One month, he was comfortably the richest person alive. Another month, he had lost tens of billions of dollars on paper. Yet, through every cycle, he continued projecting confidence. Whether markets rose or fell, the message remained consistent. Think bigger, dream further, ignore the critics. That mindset inspired millions. It also encouraged many investors to take enormous risks. Perhaps the biggest misunderstanding about Elon Musk is the belief that he fooled everyone. Reality is far more complicated. Most investors knew his promises were ambitious. Many understood deadlines would likely slip. Engineers recognized how difficult the technology really was. Yet, people willingly accepted uncertainty because the potential rewards appeared enormous. In many ways, the world wasn't tricked into believing impossible dreams. The world chose to believe because those dreams offered hope, excitement, and the possibility of extraordinary returns. That doesn't mean there weren't consequences. Some people invested near market peaks and suffered heavy losses. Employees endured exhausting work environments. Customers experienced delayed products and broken promises. Regulators investigated public statements. Competitors struggled to respond to industries changing faster than expected. Every ambitious vision created winners and losers. Every bold promise carried real financial consequences. Behind every inspirational headline stood countless people living with the results. History often remembers extraordinary individuals in extremes. Heroes become legends, villains become warnings. But real life is rarely that simple. Musk's greatest talent may not be engineering or investing. It may be convincing people to imagine futures that don't yet exist. Once millions share the same vision, capital flows, talent gathers, companies grow, and impossible ideas slowly become achievable. In that sense, belief itself becomes one of the most valuable business resources on earth. The irony is impossible to ignore. The same personality traits that helped build revolutionary companies also created repeated controversy. The confidence that inspired investors sometimes became overconfidence. The ambition that accelerated innovation sometimes produced unrealistic expectations. The willingness to ignore critics occasionally meant ignoring legitimate concerns. Strengths and weaknesses weren't separate forces, they were two sides of the same coin. So, did Elon Musk fool everyone? If by fooling we mean convincing people to believe in extraordinary futures before they existed, then yes, he has influenced millions more effectively than almost any entrepreneur in history. But if we mean creating nothing but empty illusions, the evidence says otherwise. Real rockets fly. Real electric cars dominate roads around the world. Real innovations changed entire industries. The promises may have been larger than reality, but many realities eventually caught up with at least part of the promise. The deeper lesson isn't really about Elon Musk at all. It's about us. Markets rise because people believe. Companies become valuable because people expect greater futures. Leaders gain influence because audiences choose to trust them. Every investment, every startup, every financial bubble begins with a story powerful enough to convince someone that tomorrow will be better than today. Sometimes those stories change the world. Sometimes they end in disappointment. Often they contain a little of both. The next time someone promises to revolutionize an industry, don't ask only whether the technology works. Ask whether the story is shaping your judgment. Separate vision from evidence, separate confidence from certainty, separate marketing from measurable progress. Because in business, the most valuable product isn't always a car, a rocket, or a social media platform. Sometimes the most valuable product is belief itself. And the people who understand how to create belief can change markets, rewrite industries, and influence history long before the final results are ever known.